Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binaries of all ages, welcome to How to Make a Literal Cat in your favorite RPG. I hope you're not here to learn how to make a character the right way, because this is the Cat Creation Pod. I am one of your hosts. My name's Joel.
I am another one of your hosts. My name is Avril.
The mysterious contender approaches. Lee.
Oh my gosh. Who could this Lee be?
Avalon, I'm so glad you asked. I'm one half of the team at DieselShot, alongside Patrice Long, that made ChangedStars, a tabletop RPG with a hard sci-fi setting set in a more hopeful universe with queer themes and a wide varieties of way to play the game, although today we'll be exploring one we hadn't accounted for.
Not
Should I say
to do that?
Should I say accounted for? Oh.
We save the cat puns for the end.
Yeah, we do. I was about to say, we're going to get so many during that I won't have to do it at the end.
I'll try and contain my enthusiasm.
All right. So, Lee, would you like to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, maybe your podcasting, RPG experience, or whatever else you think might qualify you to be on this show? Cat experience, anything at all?
Hello, yes. As a wee lad, we had twin cats growing up. They were tuxedos and very cute. And then we had a bobtail Persian, like American bobtail Persian cat hybrid who thought he was a dog. He was very cute. And yeah, I loved them all very much. And as they went, like I was just so full of sorrow that, like, you know, I never catted again, or I haven't this far. Aside from that, as like a minor note, we also many years ago did a actual play podcast when my very first game put out, the Astounding Adventures of the Acrid Diesel Age, and that is a podcast about my game, Acrid Diesel Age RPG. Yeah, we played the game. Since then, we've grown into like a Twitch channel and we do like our own publishing of the game ChangedStars, obviously, that we're here to cat in. And aside from that, we also offer like stock art, free video game, continuing to branch out, you know. We might get into a department store kind of arena next, but only if we can find an even less ethical way to drive out local operation.
I see.
Indeed.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, I'd say that qualifies me to make a cat in an RPG.
Absolutely.
I was talking about using Indeed to drive out local competition.
Oh god.
Anyway.
No, that was good. That was good. I was caught flat-footed by your cleverness. What we should do is, if there was a visual aspect, we'd pan to a bright red dumpster labeled Outdeed, where you can just see them throwing your application straight in and like gats of fire.
I mean, yeah, Indeed just does that.
Yeah, they just don't show you they're doing that.
We're cutting out a step and increasing transparency. Invest now.
There's your next big app, everyone.
Please don't bring any attention to the fact that my romantic partner, who's actively in prison for fraud in the same kind of industry, is attached to this project.
Yeah.
I love being able to look people up on Indeed and be like, are they serious about this job offer? Oh no, they never are.
It is tragic, my friends. But at least we can take some solace in the fact that cats are both never and always serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And we're here to make most likely an unserious cat. Most of our cats are pretty unserious.
Yeah?
Well, whether the cat is unserious or not, the player playing them almost has to be.
Yes.
Who else could stay with such a possibility right in the meow?
Again, we gotta save the cat puns for the end.
Sorry. I restrained myself.
No, keep them coming. I'm going to use these all. We're going to cut all of them out, and I'm going to use them in later episodes.
This supercut?
Yeah.
Anyone need an idea for the first literal cat pod fan edit? There you go.
We'll be all the rage on TikTok shortly.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Put it in 20 parts on TikTok. Just farm engagement.
Ah, man, that's a good idea. I should totally upload one of our best episodes in 20 parts on TikTok.
Don't forget YouTube Shorts.
Yeah. Joel, I hate to tell you this, that might work.
Horrible thoughts rise from the depths when we gather to discuss.
All right, anyone listening to this, go to literalcatpod.bluesky.social. Tell us which episode you think we should cut up and upload to TikTok in 5-minute segments?
Yeah.
To get the most new listeners.
Just put a bunch of random tags that have absolutely nothing to do with the episode in the description, so it just gets featured everywhere for no reason.
Yeah, just tag it for you and FYP.
Mm-hmm.
Get some Subway Surfer stock footage at the bottom.
Family Guy funny moments, Minecraft parkour, Just throw them all up on the screen.
Yeah.
Slow roll. You get a news ticker and you slow roll it across the bottom, and it's 2-sentence horror stories. But below that, that's the big line. The low line, it's like half it in a gray text, is creepypasta off Reddit.
Yeah. That'll really keep people's attention.
There we go. Anyway, we should probably, before we get any more bad ideas, go over the cat creation rules so we can start channeling this bad idea energy into a character for this.
I thought that was a great idea.
Oh yeah, before we get started, is there anything you would like our audience to know about ChangedStars?
You mean just like in general, or as it pertains to cats?
In general, if you want to give a rundown of the, you kind of already gave a rundown of the premise, but any specific game design philosophy you think it would be important for the audience to know listening into this or anything like.
Broadly speaking, the game, if you're not playing as synth, is based around the idea that it's a D6 dice pool system. Only 6s succeed. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking something like Shadowrun, and the pools are getting huge. Now, we kind of keep a cap on it. And how we do that and make the probability not suck is that there's a growing side pool called edge. And the higher you get, eventually you can use it to make an edge break happen, which is a cool, you don't have to roll for it, it just happens. Although you almost certainly suffer traumatic shock, which is a whole thing we don't need to get into here. But basically you have your cool protagonist moment, and then you're kind of out of it for the scene is the broad flow that results from this, which means that individual stats and skills, which add together to form your die pool, will sound lower than something that would routinely succeed under this scenario. But bearing in mind that everyone gets to re-roll anything that wasn't a success, as long as they are willing to reach and gain one extra edge, and that the edge pool is rolling, and their 6s count as well, but their 1s are bad, means that it might sound like our cat is less capable than they in fact are. So don't underestimate the competence or capability of the kid.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Good to know.
Also, side note, there aren't explicit rules for them, but early on in human history in the timeline, there was a colonization effort on Mars that involved early age genetically engineered cat people, like cute ears cat people, like a cat boy, but not like more than that. And there aren't specific rules for them, but they do all tend to get horrible like cancer as they grow older.
Dear God.
There's something they're working on fixing because they've got a lot of the genetic engineers gotten much better. The Thorn Federation, much better era, and they're like devoting their scientific resources to helping the people in the Trinity, unlike what the Human Empire was doing. So a lot has changed with those Martians, but just a cat to keep in the cab.
All right.
Well, yeah, sounds like some good info.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Joel said, we're going to run through our cat creation rules, the rules that the show has to follow on how we create this cat, and then we will jump into it. So Joel, you want to start us off?
I would love to. Rule number 1 is we accept no cop-outs. We're making a cat, the exact animal that comes to mind when I say the word. No anthropomorphic cat races, no people turned into cats, no lions, no tigers, no other cop-outs you can imagine. So, already we have ruled out the in-universe cat boys.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. Sorry, Lee. Sorry, Lee, but that's how it be.
Those cats got scratched.
Rule number 2 is we cannot use homebrew/house rules. If the rules in the rulebook do not explicitly allow something to happen, we count it as a rule broke.
Yep. Rule number 3, if the game includes stats for a literal cat, those must be used or adapted to the game's characters. And since you're here, we gotta ask, is this relevant?
Yeah, I think it would be a cop-out to stretch anything in the bestiary far enough to call it a cat.
Alright, then we can move on. Rule number 4, the character, class, background, playbook, job, what have you, must exist in the game's core rules or as part of an official expansion. We cannot use homebrew classes. They're not real. And I don't think looking at an official expansion today, we're just looking at base.
The core.
The core.
So strictly speaking, like it is core to the game that as long as you follow the rule. ChangedStars is a classless system wearing a class-based trench coat, and custom classes that you just make yourself following the rules for how classes are made are like built in and assumed in the game. The 12 that I give you are just for people who don't want to bother to build their own. So I don't know if you want to err on the side of we have to pick one of the 12 we think best emulates a cat, or how you'd proceed there, but that's the skinny.
Okay. It's a good question. We might have to
I wouldn't call it homebrew because it follows the game's rules. Like the game explicitly tells you this is what you can take. Like there's no interpretation. It's like basically you can double your options for things you get to pick due to your archetype. That's more or less what it is.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if it's built into the game, then I don't think that counts as a homebrew class. At least not in my
Yeah,
opinion.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be raw.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that kind of do that. What was the Dark Eye it gives you like a list of jobs at the beginning, but like you don't actually have to take one of the jobs. You can spend your points to get the same skill as another.
Yep.
Just completely piecemeal your character together, which I don't recommend. It took us, 4 hours, 5 hours to get through one character when we were following the basic rules.
Yeah, it was a lot for the Dark Eye.
Anyway.
That's a game I hear a lot about.
Real popular in Germany.
Oh, yeah. In Deutschland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where it's from. Let's see, we're on rule number 5, right?
Yes.
Okay, rule 5, the cat can learn any skill available to its class, even if it's not something a cat could normally be trained to do. They have to be able to do whatever they are supposed to be able to do as a player character, with a handful of reasonable limitations.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of reasonable limitations, rule number 6 is if a tool would be physically impossible for a literal cat to use, even if comically downsized for them, they cannot use it. So, like a nail gun or radioactive generator, I don't know, a lawnmower.
I thought a cat could push a lawnmower.
A tall cat.
But I thought that it was even if comically downsized. If you comically downsize a little lawnmower, think about like a cat putting up their paws and stretching their back while they could totally use that mechanism to push a mower type device.
That's true. It would have to be a manual mower though, because they wouldn't be able to pull a ripcord on like a gas mower, I don't think.
Well, they could with their teeth. But we've had this conversation before, I feel like, and the conclusion that we reached was the lawnmower would be loud enough that even if a cat managed to somehow get one that was small enough for them to use started, it would startle them away from actually using it or figuring out how to use it.
Yeah, and that lawnmower...
I concur. The noise would be an issue.
Now, if someone actually did take the time to train a cat to use a lawnmower per the rules of Rule 5, then, different story maybe, but...
Yeah, if we ever do like a gardening RPG and they require you to know how to use a lawnmower, there's not much we can do about that.
Yep. Rule number 7, if a character sheet has a section that is meant to be filled out in collaboration with the whole table, we leave that blank, so potential players can make it fit the group they're playing.
That will not be an issue tonight.
Cool.
Good to know. And finally, rule number 8, we must keep track of every rule that we break.
Such is our burden.
True. We do get burdened, but not heavily by broken rules. Most of the time it's only a couple.
Yeah, it's always less than you think it'll be.
Yeah, I think the max we've ever had is like, 5, maybe?
5 or 6.
Something like that.
And I can't even remember which game it was.
Have I punned too hard, or can I take a shot here?
Go for it.
You'll need to give tactical situations if you want tactical outcomes.
Nice. Alright.
I believe we're ready to get started.
Let's tactically make this cat.
It's chapter 1 you're looking for. Wunderbar. Now that, I don't know if you want to make a double tap, whatever, but that right there, you're looking at top right, character creation process.
Mm-hmm.
That is the whole shebang. That shows you the front to back, and it gives you like a brief on what you will do at each point. And then everything from here on out is like an in-depth on each step and the options associated.
Okay. Yeah, we can go through these real quick. So, character generation process. Number 1 is species. Select your species. This grants you your hit points and movement base, as well as some species-specific talents and quirks. Nice. Step 2 is archetype. Just selecting or creating your own archetype. Number 3 is allocate attributes. All attributes start at 2. You allocate an additional, blah, blah, blah. We'll get to that. Step number 4 is spend skill points. We get 10 of those. And finally, step number 5 is our gear package.
Yes, the gear package. And would you like a prediction here, or should I hold my tongue?
What kind of prediction?
Yeah, what are we predicting?
A broken rule-related prediction.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hit us with it. Call your shot.
I think that we are only going to have to break one rule, and it's the fact that there's just literally no cat species, so we're going to have to make one.
Yeah.
And I think we can fit everything else.
Cool.
Okay.
Depending on how you feel about a cat having money.
Oh, we've had cats have money.
Yeah.
We've made a cat gamble before. They got money.
All right. Well, baller, shot caller. I'm calling it. One rule got to be broken is my guesstimate.
All right.
Sounds good. I mean, yeah, we've had rich cats. We've had
poor cats.
Cats who are in debt to the justice system.
You know, I met a business major the other day who talked to me about a book he read called Rich Cat, Poor Cat.
Huh.
Really?
I don't talk to business majors.
It's a joke.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
It's sorry, I got a Discord call literally like as that happened, hence why I fumbled.
Oh, understandable. Happens to the best of us.
I promise this doesn't normally happen.
You gotta trust me.
Usually, I keep all 4 feet on the floor.
Just like a cat.
That's right. Agile.
I met a game called Agile once.
Yeah? How was it?
Not very good. It was a college project.
Well, we live and we learn, don't we, Sonic?
Yeah, we do.
That's right, Tails.
Thank you, Shadow.
So wait, am I Sonic in this scenario?
Yep.
Yeah.
You have the blue avatar. I mean, it was kind of inevitable. And if you think about it, my symbol's main gold, Avalon's main black. Like, actually, that kind of... Who's Craig? Big's the cat.
Big's the cat, yeah. That's Craig. I thought I was Shadow because I have red hair.
Oh, we've got a double whammy.
Yep.
Are you wearing some sick kicks with Jetson then?
Dude, I fucking wish, man.
That would have been the triple threat.
Yeah. I am also wearing red and black, though. Just like my shirt's red and my pants are black. So I am kind of shadow-coded today.
Not to call myself the gunslinger here, but have I yet missed a called shot, friend?
I don't think so.
Not yet.
All right, well, let's see your next called shot, getting into these species.
Species.
So...
That's step 1 here on the next page. So I see select a species, but then the next thing under that is stamina and health.
So that gives you some of the basic ideas that you need to know about like the species because you're about to get told what their stuff is, but that table you see here. Human, Thren, Mirai, Brass, Newsguy, Adolescent, Veer, Synth, and Synth Variant. So that is 6 organic species, 2 synthetic, like a robot and like a robot that has a mind slightly more like an organic. And none of them are cats, right? I think that if you really want to make the bullshit argument, you could say it's a synth that's shaped like a cat, but as we've established, no cop-outs, none of them are cats.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which does leave us with sort of the skeleton we need to fill, which is that in this game, like earlier you have an overview of the 4 stats, but basically you have 2 hit point pools in this game: stamina and health. Health is a hard pool, hard number per species. There is 1 talent you can take later on to like up it, but broadly speaking, it's just like that's how much blood there is in you. You know what I mean? As a broad, generalized rule based on like, are you a human shape? Are you a really big bug shape? You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And stamina is sort of the general stamina, which has like a psychological, but also like a fatigue aspect to it. For example, like radiation and bleed damage go right past stamina. It goes right into health. But broadly speaking, when you take a hit, you deplete your stamina first, and then you get your health. Stuff like adrenaline shots will max out your stamina, +1 over heal if you're still up. And health is like, you really have to spend resources and time, and like it comes back slowly, like once per sleep kind of thing. Whereas stamina, it'll pop right back up after you take a nap.
Okay.
So stamina is more like a hit point in another game. Health is more of the meat of it. And small creatures, I would just point this out for no particular reason, sometimes is like, we call them tiers for NPCs, tier 1, 2, or 2+. Like the small ones, don't have much meat to them, are only 1 health.
Okay.
You will note that species have the health amount precisely and then a stamina modifier ranging +0 through +2 to show how like hearty and hale a given species is. You have the move, which is around how fast you can move in a round of combat normally on the tactical scale, but presumably like a spaceship interior kind of setup. Then you have talents, and sometimes you have quirks. Talents are just like positives. There's not technically any downside to them. Quirks are like a thing that's true about your species that might be a downside. For example, Newsguy require water to live. That's not really like a talent they have. It's more like, I hope you find water in the next 10 hours while you're out of it, buddy. And like Mirai and Newsguy require translators because the Mirai communicate pheromonally and the Newsguy adolescents don't like have necessarily the full vocal faculty, although they do make sound to communicate. And stuff like ill-fitting, the Veer are shaped like big, squat, 3 foot tall, 5 foot wide Diesels, but with rhino skin. So like their clothing and like Newsguy are like double-headed shrimps. Like there's no retailoring your normal clothing for them. You know what I mean? Like you gotta mail order that. And the Rast are adorable little otter people, which again, if you were prone to copying out or just looking for perhaps a model of a cuddly cute creature, that's sort of their setup. So I think that I have rambled here long enough, but do tell me if I haven't. I think that's kind of the skeleton of what we need to find here. Our cat needs to have a stamina mod, a health amount, a move, and then however many or however few talents and quirks you feel appropriate. As a mention to our listeners, not every species has a quirk. Humans, Thren, and Rast do not.
Okay. I mean, if you think RAS might be the closest, we can base it off of that.
I mean, in the sense that they're small, but frankly, like we're talking about like a normal house cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the question is how far we want to breach away from a normal character. For a normal character, I won't give anything less than 3 health for a species.
Okay.
But if you just asked me to make the stats for a cat and you didn't say PC, I would say no stamina, 1 health, tier 0. So do we want to split the difference and let our cat character have its stamina-based HP, which scales off of their statistic resilience, right? Which is their strength and constitution. Or do you feel that we should like keep the minimum of the other species?
I think trying to break as few rules as possible, if we want a player character and you have a hard limit on the minimum player character health being 3.
Strictly speaking, I never elucidate the rule in the text, but it was something that I had in mind because I felt like 2 health was a little too... Rast used to be 2 health, and it felt like it was too little. People will get cleared out routinely. For a point of reference, if you succeed once with a revolver shooting someone, you deal them 3 damage, and it has a bit of AP, so if you're only lightly armored or behind little cover, it'll cut straight through them. So Rast would step out from around corners, and a call shot with a revolver that just tinged them with 1 success would put them on the ground.
I see.
Yeah, that's kind of rough.
And bear in mind, though, you're going to get a minimum of 2 stamina because following the rules, you're going to have a minimum 2 resilience. So our cat, if you think about it this way, as long as it's not radiation or bleed, our cat is going to have a minimum of 2 HP, even if the player hard dump stats, the stat that governs it. So even if we were to drop them to 1 health, that would still be 3 hit points.
Okay.
Which, for reference, survives a shot from a regular pistol, if it's not a remarkable shot.
Gotcha.
I guess ultimately, my line of thinking is, like, I want this to be a somewhat viable player character. Do you think it's more, like, this is really like, if you were running a game and someone brought this character to your table, would you rather see that they have a character that is in line with other player characters, like the baseline expectation, or a character that is in line with the world's expectations of the creature they're wanting to play?
The general philosophy of ChangedStars is the latter. It is to model the world. I wouldn't necessarily call a species balanced, but I will say this. There is a floor that I want people to have fun, and I don't want people to get cleaned out too easily. So I would say splitting the difference. Maybe our cats, we make a note that we're going to give the cat a survivability talent that helps them not get got. And we compromise on their +0 stamina, 2 health, which means their minimum hit point pool for a dump stat of all the relevant stuff, never buying a talent that increases it, is 4, which means they pass the test of, do they get 1 shot by a basic shot from a revolver? The answer is no. They're up at 1 gaming.
Okay. I think that works.
Yep. I'm okay with that.
Okay. So, health, we're starting at 2. Stamina, we have +0 for right now.
Now we get to the really fun question. How much faster than a human do you think a cat is?
Oh.
Cats are not faster than humans.
Something sounds like someone's been researching this. Perhaps for a podcast related to role-playing games and character generation?
Perhaps.
Yes, we've had to look this up a few times. Cats can, in some cases, outrun humans, but their stamina is so low that a human walking would catch up to a cat that is running in a couple minutes or less.
Yeah.
Considering a couple minutes is beyond realistically these, because combat happens in 10-second rounds if you are doing it at the perspective where you use this move stat. So strictly speaking, I mean, I think that we could still do it, but also Thren has something called natural sprinter that let's say take the dash action as a side action instead of a main action. We could give a similar thing to cats to be like, yeah, cats can hit the go juice, but they're not functionally faster creatures in aggregate.
I like that.
All right, that makes sense because, like, the fastest cat that I think we've looked up on the show is the Egyptian Mao, which tops out at like 30 miles an hour running. Whereas a human, like, most humans would run at maybe 28 miles an hour if they push themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if that's our baseline, it's like the fastest cat's gonna run 30 miles an hour, but not have much stamina, whereas a human would probably, like any human, could probably push themselves to run 28 miles an hour.
then I would say, yeah, we could just call them, so like as it is for the listeners, humans are 6 meters. Most species that don't have a particular reason to not be are 6 meters of movement. Wrasse are small, but they are fast scurriers, so they're 6 meters, even though, low leg span. Veer are big wide, as previously mentioned, 5 meters. Synths go 7 meters because, I don't know, robot man meme. And Thren, who are like the speedy species, go 8 meters. They have digitigrade legs. Actually, I might need to check myself on that. But the important thing is that they evolved from like how like our ancestors are monkeys, their ancestors are more like deer. They're more like gazelles.
Oh, okay.
And they have hooves and big legs.
Nice.
I see.
Yeah, so they have externally digitigrade legs.
I guess the point is, like, if we're talking like just rounds of movement and we're not worried about like stamina because individual turns are so short, then a cat could potentially move as fast as a human.
So we call it equivalent. We call it 6 meters.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And so, is there anything else like here that we need to note now, or will that come in later?
So what we need to consider now is what are the talents and quirks of the cat? Because technically speaking, you need to know the species before you go forward. Although we could do them at the end after the character had evolved. But like, this is a question of your there's nothing about talents or quirks that interacts in an overriding fashion with the rest of a character.
Okay.
All right. If we are, again, just, like, thinking relative to humans, cats typically have maybe worse, like, full light vision, but much better low light vision. They have better secondary senses.
Yeah, you could absolutely... There's a low light vision for Mirai, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could take... And I actually have another idea about Natural Sprinter and some other precedents. So here's what I'm going to pitch, right? I think that we make it... Quirks can have upsides. I'm going to suggest, rather, that we say that cats have, what is it, like, is it because their cones are narrow or something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact science behind it,
but
yeah.
Well, then we could call it cat vision then and, like, not necessarily get too deep in it. But we give them the benefits of low light vision, but we give them, like, a slight penalty in normal light. And we honestly, I think we call it cat senses, and we say, like, you have low light vision, but beyond just vision, it's like a +2 to like scrutiny tests that are based on like the secondary senses of the cat, but a -1 to visual scrutiny tests in normal light.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we give them a bonus, but a negative, so it is a quirk. That's not really a distinction that matters that much if we're not putting it in the table, to be honest. So yeah, and aside from that, the Veer have something called Crush, which lets them spend 1 stamina inherently, kind of like they're taking damage, to get an automatic success on an attack. Cats mostly speed up. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm not a big cat head. Like when you're trying to grab them or they're in a combat scenario and they feel in danger, right?
Yeah.
That's when they book it.
Yeah, they will run away.
What if we gave them like a cat's dodge? And what the cat's dodge was that you got to, if you roll no successes when you roll a maneuver to dodge, which is like a reaction you take in the game, like not getting hit in melee, right? Mm-hmm. You could instead take 1 stamina damage to get an automatic 1 success. Or instead gain the benefits of like, we have a version of what more or less amounts to disengaging, although it's not called that, it's called withdraw. So I only pitch 2 past the plate here. I don't know, I'm about to get into the weeds on the mechanics. I'm sorry, I'm overthinking this alright. I think that the simplest way to do this, I'm already doing a more complicated way. The simplest way to do this is to give them Natural Sprinter, which basically all our listeners and you need to know about Natural Sprinter is in normal play, you get 1 main action and 1 side action, but you can downgrade a main action to a side action. Main actions usually do things like attack, side actions usually do something like a minor interaction with the world, right? Mm-hmm. Or aiming. Now, Natural Sprinter allows the Thren to sprint instead of as a main action as a side action. So it lets you, for example, get in close and attack. Which, if you think about a cat hunting, it's a pretty natural way that they handle it, right?
Right.
But, like, my game designer brain kind of wants to also... I mean, we give them Natural Sprinter just straight up, and then also give them... Because if you think about it, from my perspective, I'd load the cat with, like, an extra talent, you know what I mean? Because, like, if I make you poor in health and middling in speed, I'm going to make you rich in talents. But I'm going to keep it feeling verisimilitude. So I would say, in addition to that, we give them something patterned off of Crush, which is the one where it's like, if you're using maneuver to defend yourself, honestly, because that's going to include hazards, like, use maneuver to, like, not get hurt when you fall, which is a very cat thing, isn't it? Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
that sort of a thing. I think we could svelte just say that like Cat Grace or something is if you roll no success on a maneuver to defend yourself, you can take 1 stamina damage to gain the 1 automatic success, and it would have the same rider Crush does, which is you don't get to reroll that. It's just you accept that result.
Okay, so just throw Crush on there, essentially. You're good. The thing I'm thinking of is I want to try to make this as, like, simple enough for people to, like, actually, you know, be able to play and everything.
Play, yeah.
So I think having it just be, like, yeah, we are technically making our own species, but I think keeping talents to just whatever talents you currently have, whatever you think would fit best as a base talent, just throw it on there. Because we give them a sheet that has a bunch of extra stuff on it, I feel like people would be less inclined to play it.
I just put it in the Discord chat, right? We take Crush, right?
Yeah.
And we just substitute the phrase melee-based attack with maneuver-based defense. Boom.
Okay.
So that keeps it, so closely related to Crush, and you're just, substituting one phrase.
Okay.
So I would say that kind of keeps us on theme, I think. What do you guys think?
Sort of. We still need to spell out then on the character sheet what that means in context, but that's fine.
And instead of the word veer, you say it when a cat, but
When a cat rolls no successes on a maneuver-based defense, then they may choose to spend 1 stamina to instead get a single automatic success.
Yeah, which, I think that's pretty easy to read.
It's reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, that is a cat, in a sense. Because, there, technically speaking, from a certain perspective, I'm walking across the aircraft carrier victory accomplished. Because in a sense, we've made the cat species, and that's kind of the task. But we'll see. I could be wrong. We're not out of the woods yet.
Well, it depends on how you want to count it. Because if you think creating the talents and stuff all counts as just making a new species up on the spot, which is kind of breaking a rule in the game, but or not a rule in the game, a rule of the podcast, but are we
breaking?
Not one that we can avoid.
Well, what rule are we breaking?
Cat's class background playbook job has to be in the core rules.
Oh, yeah. No.
So,
I'm just saying future people could make like a different cat from the one we're about to make, is what I meant.
Okay.
Not that, I'm not suggesting we tap out now. No, we gotta keep going.
I kind of think that we have to count this as 2 rules broken, because we kind of made up a new species, and then we modified existing talents to fit.
Yeah, I would say that's 2.
I hear you. I would just say that, if to make a new species in ChangedStars and to make new talents, there's no possible way to do just one of those things, if you know what I mean. But I can see how it could be counted as 2.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
A species must have unique talents. The example I would cite here is synth and variant synth only differ in the realm of talents.
Yeah, the only thing they share is synthetic body, which, they're synths, so.
It's pretty much like, if the synth walks out into space, they actually don't die. They don't care about the vacuum. They're fine. Organic, you're fucked.
Yeah, fair enough. So, then we need the quirk, which we do kind of just have to make up wholesale, I think. We'd already talked about what that would be, right?
I think low light vision in a sense models. But we want to give low light vision a bad side, right? To reflect the fact that...
Yeah, we need the quirk that basically says that when it's not low light vision, we get a penalty.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say that's, to my mind, the fastest and simplest way to do this on the character sheet in a way that will scan easy for readers. Let me suggest this. Cat vision, right? We have cat vision as low light vision, comma, but -1 to scrutiny in... Do you want to call it normal light or bright light, or daylight?
Let's say daylight.
In daylight. I will say, just because, if you think about it, our cat could be on a spaceship, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I think people will understand what we mean. If there's a bright light on a spaceship, right?
Or if they're, next to a star.
Yeah, so so I put it in the chat, but low light vision, comma, but -1 to scrutiny in daylight.
Yep.
So we've minded our T's and Q's.
All right. I think that all works.
Pretty good way to balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that we are, this is unironically, a viable species in my book.
Yeah.
Yes, you're taking the health hit, but natural sprinter and cat grace is a really nice survivability, especially in a melee fight. Our system doesn't have saves, but you could map the concept of a save onto the skills endurance, maneuver, and resolve. So in a sense, cat grace is going to help you both if you're dodging an enemy trying to cut you, and if you're trying to do our game's version of a dex save.
All right.
So cat grace is pretty strong.
Love to see
Yeah,
it.
it sounds like it.
Love an overpowered cat.
OP Kitty.
All right.
OPC.
Well, everyone, happy Pride Month.
Oh,
That's June, right?
Yeah, Pride Month is June.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, get your rainbow flags out. Get your most colorful outfit. Put it on. And go out on the town.
Or something, yeah.
Something like that. Go to your local Pride parade and see all the cool people there hanging out.
Legally, I don't think I can advise you to do a traditional 60s Pride parade.
I don't know what that means, so I'm also going to say don't do that.
Oh, it was throwing bricks at buildings.
Oh, right. No, do that one.
Oh, okay. Wait, was it the 60s?
I don't know exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. That's what I thought. I just had to look up when Marsha P. Johnson was alive real quick. It's okay.
Yeah. What a lady.
Anyway.
But yeah, go have fun. Go get your cocktails, guys. Listen, it might look fruity to have a fruity drink, but that doesn't make you gay. It makes you a man with good taste.
I mean, you could be gay too. That's fine.
That's also fine. But we're not here to talk about Pride Month. We're here to talk about the show.
Well, I don't know. Like, I did specifically ask people to send us games that they thought would be a good fit for Pride Month, so...
Well, we're doing a little bit of both here, you know?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, you're here to talk about the show right now. So, this is a podcast. A podcast is a recorded audio bit that we put into your ears.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not the best description ever. But if you want to learn more about our podcast specifically, you can go to badgertrove.com/literalcatpod. That is a website that I maintain, and it has information about this show and a few other things.
Yeah, we got some other stuff listed on the Badger Trove site, but this show specifically, we got all kinds of stuff over there.
Yeah, you want to learn anything you could possibly want to know about the show? Go to that website. You find something that's not on the website that you'd like to know? Reach out to us on social media at LiteralCatPod. You can find us on Blue Sky or Tumblr.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I was looking at the website and I totally missed the last thing you said.
Oh, I told everyone to check out our socials.
Okay. If socials aren't your thing and you still want to contact us, you can use our email, literalcatpod@gmail.com. You can send us games, send us, if you want a guest spot, you can reach out to us there. Send us pet pictures, specifically cats.
Yeah.
And they might get turned into a cat on the show. Who knows? We know.
We know. Now, we have had a few people send us cats recently. I can't remember who all I've mentioned recently, so I'm just going to go through and open all these emails here real quick. Let's see. We got someone named Liz sent us pictures of their cats, who are Nala and Mila. They are both black and white tuxedo cat.
So dapper.
How'd you know? I didn't finish sending the picture yet.
I mean, they're tuxedo cats. They gotta be, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. Oh yeah, Chris.
They both look very polite.
Yes. Then we've got Chris Longhurst, who you've heard on the show before and probably will again here soon.
Oh.
He sent us a very zoomed in enhanced picture of his cat. This is Cedric. We've already seen Cedric. In fact, I think we've made a character sheet out of Cedric before.
I believe we have. He is very zoomed and enhanced in this photo. He also has a tiny black spot on his nose, and that's very cute.
Yeah. And then we've got Paper Koopa sent us pictures of cats. We've got Maki, who is a black and white cat, and Sashimi, who is an orange and white cat. I feel like we've talked about these two in a mid-roll before, but you know what? I'm just going through the whole recent history, so...
Also, I believe we did, because I do have pictures of these two from the past.
Well, there you go. You're getting them again.
I'll never say no to another cat picture, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we will maybe make a character out of your cat. Probably we'll shout them out on the show if you send us a picture.
Yeah, so again, email literalcatpod@gmail.com. Send us the cat pics, please.
Send us the cats. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I feel like someone may have sent one in Discord recently. No, I'm wrong.
How could you? You lied to me, Joel.
I'm so sorry. Those pictures were from last year.
Oh. So not recently, but somebody did send them in the Discord.
Oh yeah, speaking of the Discord, if you would like to post your cat pictures in our Discord so that we don't have ones that are a year old and we have some that are more recent just chilling in our Discord, that Discord you can access by going to badgershow.com/Discord.
Yeah, join us in there. Got some discussions. People chat about current events and fun little RPG stuff. It's good. It's always good to have more people in there contributing to the conversation, just hanging out.
Yeah, we love it.
You know what else we love?
Ratings and reviews?
Yes. Something that you all can do for free from your home, your car, not while you're driving, or your apartment, a bus, on a rug, with a bug, in a train, on a plane. You could rate and review us.
On your Hellpod, diving onto whatever planet the Illuminate are on right now, which is Super Earth. Please stop fighting the bugs. That's not going to be relevant by the time this comes out, is it?
Probably not. I think that major order's done in like a few days. But I did see your post on Blue Sky about that. But no, you can very easily tap a couple buttons, leave us a good rating, and if you're feeling so generous, you can punch in some words, leave us a review. And that's a very good way for the algorithm to pick us up and show that, hey, people like this show. Maybe other people will like this show, and they'll send it out.
Yeah, but you know who you can guarantee will like the sort of things that you like? Your friends, probably. If not, get better ones. And then tell them about our show.
Yeah, word of mouth is a great advertisement tool. So yeah, if you got friends who like TTRPGs and like cats, which like, come on, who doesn't like cats? Send this over to them, you know?
Yeah.
You got an episode in particular you like, just shoot it over there and tell them, hey, listen to this.
Yeah, as we always say, the best episode to introduce someone to the show is the one about their favorite RPG episode.
Yes. And we've got so many at this point. If we haven't covered your favorite RPG, you let us know. And we'll get on it.
We're working on it. I promise you guys, we've been trying to find a place to work in Ironsworn for months.
One of these days we'll get there, Joel.
3 people have asked me to do Ironsworn.
We'll get on it faster. How about that?
It's gonna be after July. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. I think... Is that everything for the show?
I think so.
Well, Joel, where can people find you online? Or rather, where can they find your crazy sludge monster that you've engineered?
Yes, that's right. My VTubing career, which is totally taking off, /S. You can find me online by searching for Omammer VT. I know that doesn't say my name. Trust me, it is me behind the camera, or behind the screen, as it were.
Just know that Joel is there.
It's me, in spirit. If you call me Joel on stream, though, I will ban you.
Good call.
Avalon, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Avalon Alchemist. You can also find me on Twitch at Avalon Alchemist. I actually, at the time of this episode goes live, I probably already started. I plan on streaming Elden Ring Night Rain because, God, that game looks so fun. Can't wait. But yeah, you can find me over there. Drop me a follow, or don't. It's your life. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, I think we should get him back to the episode then.
Yeah, get out of here, you crazy kids.
Don't have to go home, but you can't stay here because the mid-roll's over. Please ignore the fact that you have a rewind button.
So, does that mean we're moving on to archetype?
Yeah, so now the question is, what do you think, I'm generally speaking, any cat, like, by the way the game works, like, any cat can take any job, I guess, but do you guys want to go through the archetypes that exist and, like, rule in, rule out what you think they could be, and then you go from there and make a custom?
Yeah, and one of these might just work, we'll see.
Yeah.
Alright. I definitely know a talent that I want our cat to have, but I'll keep that in my back pocket for a reveal, excitingly, later.
Alright.
Sweet.
So yeah, it begins at the bottom left there with engineer, and then spins around to a face, and then spins down to the left onto the next page. Yes, I had too many words that had to be fit in here.
Okay, so let me get a quick overview of archetypes real quick. Your archetype represents your overall abilities and inclinations. You may take one of the pre-made archetypes or create your own using the format found later in this section. The archetypes below are guidelines, not a strict menu, as we mentioned before. So yeah, let's go through this. Give it a little look-see.
We got engineer, face, hacker, investigator, marauder, marine, mechanic, medic, officer, pilot, scientist, or sneak.
And I think by the rules of the podcast, correct me if I'm wrong here, because the cat must be able to do, well, we kind of run into a paradox, right? Because, like, if a tool would be physically impossible for a cat to literally operate, even if call downsides for them, they cannot use it. However, one of the skills is operate. Operate governs piloting spaceships, vehicles, and drones. Depending on how you define, we explained that, like, the drone controls could take many shapes, including gesture-based, but, like, would a cat do the, you know what I mean?
If it is possible for a cat to be trained to do gestures within the context of this sci-fi world, then yes, they could pilot a drone via gestures.
All right, then we're good. That puts pilot on the table, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
The one thing that I would say would be in trouble is one of their focus skills. I presume we wouldn't tag focus skills the cat couldn't do. Although, again, the cat has to be able to do all the skills, right?
Potentially. Okay, one thing that we've had to deal with before is that a cat could technically be trained to wield a sniper rifle, but without the existence of a sniper rifle made specifically for a cat, that training goes completely unrealized.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't have the ability to make custom gear, and you want to give a cat, say, ballistics training, then without the ability to make the cat gun, that is useless to the cat.
Yeah. The best I'll say is ballistics is also being used for throwing things. So I guess the question is, if you like throw a rock in combat, I'd usually call for a ballistics test, right? Also, you can use ballistics in a forensic sense to understand things about like what a shooter would have had to be doing.
Okay.
So, a cat could use ballistics in both those senses. Do you guys consider if a cat knocks something off a ledge with like a deliberate intention to hit something else with what they've just knocked, would you consider that a thrown attack? They don't grasp it, but they do launch it.
I think in that case it would have to count, right? Like, if you knock something from a high enough distance that if it fell, it would hurt someone, I think it would have to count as in the same vein as a thrown attack. It just has to meet that condition first.
Then I would say that our cat is clear on ballistics. Oh, actually, I can't believe I said, pilot's clear, and now I'm about to checklist you guys on 3 of their skills. I promise not the 4th. But, systems. Now, here's a question. This is a literal cat, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So systems is usually used for one of two. I mean, maybe I'll read, maybe the fairest thing to do, right, is to read you the description of the skill and not inject my opinion and let you guys see what you think. But let me read you, it's like 1 sentence and 3 bullet points of what the system skills does, okay?
Okay.
Systems. Understanding and manipulating digital and theoretical systems and sciences. Here are our bullet points. Manipulating digital and bureaucratic systems. Design objects from tools to structures. Scientific knowledge, such as physics and biology. What are we thinking, crowd?
I think a cat can use an iPad.
Yes.
And I was going to make the argument they can manipulate the bureaucratic system of the household to get more trees.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, absolutely they would.
All right, so in that case, I think we've cleared... I can't think of another skill that would be an issue, really, yeah. I think that we've cleared every hurdle. Oh, I keep saying this. All right, I promise. One more. Okay, wait a minute. Fuck. Do you think a cat can do medicine? The art and science of biological creatures and their preservation under duress. Bullet points are healing, administering drugs, physical damage to a biological creature, and practical biological and anatomical knowledge. The physical damage to a biological creature is like, it's meant to imply like understanding it, right? Like looking at it and realizing like that's a severe head trauma. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that makes sense. It's possible that a cat could diagnose, but it would have to be, like, the central focus of the cat's training, I feel like.
Yeah, even, because generally speaking, practical biological anatomical knowledge is a little, like, yeah, I don't know. I think that it would be a bit of a stretch, but you could interpret it as, like, a cat sees a creature, like, lying down on its side and there's blood nearby, and the cat tries to determine, like, are they wounded or dead, or sleeping or playing dead? I could see that as a medicine role. And the question is, do you think that, but you still, I mean, yeah.
Again, within the context of an investigation, if these rules can also be used in the context of investigation, I'd say it's allowed. If it involves a tool that a cat could not reasonably use or would be otherwise outside their area of training, that's usually a no.
Medicine isn't always a tool. So there's knowledge, but usually when I call for like a medicine knowledge, I mean, sometimes it's like first aid stuff. But I confess, I have a hard time seeing a cat necessarily understanding, like, you need to put a tourniquet on it. Or, you know what I mean? Like, and like some of the things I even described there, like playing dead, would really be insight. So, I don't know. I might be swinging hard for medicine. I don't want to occlude your judgment.
It kind of sounds like a maybe not. If there's points in it, it would have to be pretty low.
Mm-hmm. Now, this brings us to mechanics for the last one. Everything else is like melee, endurance, insight, communicator. Like, everything else a cat can do, right?
Potentially, yeah.
But mechanics.
I'm kind of lost. Where are we right now?
Oh, sorry. I'm peeking at page 12. We're not putting anything yet. I'm trying to eliminate any of the archetypes.
Okay.
The way I see it is, if the cat can't do the skill, well, technically speaking, I think we violate a rule of the podcast, but additionally, it would probably mean we couldn't take that as their archetype. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So this way we can see, like, oh, like, can we take medic? Well, maybe not if we don't on medicine. But mechanics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kitty engineer. Intuitive understanding of machines' physical nature, including their assembly and repair, down to a muscle memory level. Our bullet points are fixing machinery, assembling, disassembling, quick repairs, using tools.
I think that's a no-go.
Yeah. The tools thing kind of rules out a lot of that.
Yeah.
Now, we did go over a lot of points on, like, specific things that makes it sound like pilot is oddly viable, but...
Because, I mean, the thing is that there's, like, technology in the setting where, like, you can pilot via gestures and eye movement, right?
Yes.
But mechanics is explicitly like, we're not talking about the high-tech shit. I mean, like, you got a wrench and you're in the guts of it.
Yep.
Are there knowledge-y kind of roles under mechanics? Sometimes, yes. I try not to do it too much because it's governed by the resilience stat, which makes that weird. And additionally, like, it would be so, like, a cat doesn't understand a combustion engine. They're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they're not down there rewiring, the panels.
Yeah, they're not a mechanic. End of the day. I just don't think so. I do think that we have to cut kitties off of mechanics.
Yep.
No mechanics.
That might be a violation of a podcast rule.
Well, if we don't give it the class, then it doesn't have to be able to learn those skills.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So, medicine is a maybe, but you couldn't put it very high, maybe 1.
Unless that was the whole focus of the character.
And says the whole foe is the cat. Mechanics is just a pure no-go. Every other skill is on the table. So, just to quickly sum up, if we go to the archetype section, let me know if I'm, like, going too fast here, or, like, we want to take stock. But as I read it, we can't have an engineer kitty. We can't have a mechanic kitty. Does anybody else have... We can't be anything that has mechanics as a focus skill.
Right. And there's some that the cat could hypothetically put some points in a skill, but I don't know if it would make sense for our cat to be a hacker.
Yeah, and once we clear the hurdle of focus skills, also, we get to the hurdle of talents, and, like, strictly speaking, like, in the strictest sense, you can choose whatever talent you want, and these are just suggestions for the archetype. But I figure we want to see how the suggestions work, right?
Right.
If the cat can't do anything that we suggest for a hacker, like, we start to get into a gray zone to an extent.
Yeah.
So, like, a hacker, for example, they suggest the logic talent tree, and they'll get 1. And just, I'll rattle them off really fast, and I won't read the whole text to you, but I'll explain, like, what does it do? So, for the freak, there's 3 talents for the logic talent tree, right? Mm-hmm. Intruder, Freaker, and Signal Surfer. What they do is help you hack into computers and get past electronic security better, let you hack things with a phone like your Watchdogs kitty, and be better at overcoming or causing signal jamming.
Well, it could do a Watchdogs cat.
Oh, Watchdogs cat.
I don't want to make a hacker, to be clear. But if we are saying that the cat can operate an iPad or, like, use a device with a touchscreen, then technically, Watchdog-style hacking is on the table.
That's so funny, though. I haven't thought about that game in years.
Aren't there, like, 3 of them at this point?
I think so, yeah.
So, the Watch Dudes. Yeah, there's Legion or whatever after 2. But yeah, so that's just sort of like a sample of what it might be. Meanwhile, Killer Tree's great for cats. It lets you be better at finishing things off, scare things with your, like, melee capabilities, and use maneuver instead of the melee skill for melee tests, which I think most kitties would probably have, because, it's not about their raw strength, it's about the speed of the swipe of the claw and their alacrity.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I've been, like, rattling off too much all at once. I wanna step back there and hear your reactions to all this.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I've got 2 ideas for character archetypes based on what we talked about so far. One I think is just funny, one might be a better fit in world. So, the better world fit might just be sneak. You've got a character who is, first off, your talent tree is crime, and cats have a natural affinity for crime. That's just a blanket value statement that the show has, that cats have a natural affinity for crime. So, I feel like it fits our show's theme, it fits the world potentially, that you just have a cat who's good at sneaking and doing jobs involving that.
Yeah.
The funny option is Pilot.
True.
We did pretty much clear Pilot immediately.
We did.
Yeah. And the edge break is piloting related, but that's fine. So yeah, I mean, we could take Pilot and Sneak, I will say. So the criminal, through your teeth is modifiers on lying. Cut purse is modifiers to steal items off of people. And Shadow is a modifier to hide, just modifier to stealth.
Oh.
We have to choose one talent, and Shadow feels like the natural pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Blur is pretty much like you go super fast and people can't op you as your edge break. So like think of like the sudden blur of fur of a cat moving around really fast, right?
Oh my god, the zoomies, dude.
Yeah, so it's like the zoomies edge break. So to me, it makes a lot of sense as an edge break.
It also fits with the other, like, abilities that we've talked about a cat potentially having in world already.
Yeah. For Pilot, it's Ace, which would let you perform... Basically, you can do a whole bunch of piloting shit on one turn that would normally take you way more than that. You automatically succeed on all of it. But Ace is... if you can do the operate skill, you can do Ace, pretty much. So
Okay.
you use whatever your method is of piloting to pilot with Ace. I would say a cat clears both of them. All she's got is flying recklessly, CCU certified, is driving mechs, and 10,000 hours is you choose a type of vehicle you have a lot of experience with to get a bonus on. And I mean, yeah, if a cat can pilot, a cat could have spent a long time piloting a certain type of vehicle and gotten good at it.
I think all she's got would be really funny for Pilot, because, like,
Yes,
you got this cat
that's
up
exactly
here.
where
And,
I went.
like, yeah, when a cat gets scared or, like, is in a stressful situation, they usually just freak out.
Yeah, you get to consider your thrust one higher, and successes on navigate tests take you further. So you're pressing the ship for all it's got. You're just butt gunning it, yeah. Kitty, pedal, paw to the metal.
This cat would drive like a madman.
Yes. And because of that, I'm gonna cast my vote for Pilot. Because I'm thinking, like, you could make a cat a pilot by giving them, like, have somebody put, like, a motion control helmet or something on them, and, you know, like,
Right.
have that as, like, an interface, so they're not...
You get the digital zoomies.
As long as your vehicle has, like, gesture and touch controls exclusively, I think a cat could use it.
Oh, easily, yes.
And there we go, yeah. So, I mean, it sounds to me like everything's forming up around Pilot. Am I wrong?
Nah, I think we should do it.
Yeah.
A kitty pilot.
Every once in a while, we just have to take the funny one.
I feel like we do it a lot, but that's what's so great about the show. He wants to be Pilot, great.
You just throw all she's got in there as a talent, and now get out your drawing implement.
Oh
I'm
no.
going to be drawing.
We draw?
Yeah. Draw! Gunshot sound. No, think of it like a happy little accident. So you see there's a fuckload of dots all over this character sheet.
Yeah.
Top left attributes and skills. You see there's a dot next to alacrity, all the stats?
Yep.
Color in the one next to alacrity. Then do a dot next to operate. And you go up to cognition for scrutiny
Boom.
and systems.
Huge.
And what you can do, you can make a note here, is so a tag skill, the focus skill does two things. What a tag stat does is it raises the maximum number of stat points you can put into a stat from 5 to 6 for normal organics. Synths have different rules. Kitty is not a synth. That's like a whole described by a talent. Kitty doesn't have. So we can put alacrity up to 6 for this character, and we get one free skill point in every focus skill, and the normal care gen cap on a skill is 3. But the +1 from a focus skill lets you violate the cap up to 4. So if you wanted to dump 3 skill points in on one of those 4 that we just topped up, you could ascend to 4. You could do it on, like, all of them, really. Not all of them. You wouldn't have enough points, but, like, at least 2. So, yeah. The whole situation there is, I think that we've made note... and there's a little box that says edge break towards the top right of the character sheet when you go back to it.
Yep, I got it.
Oh, you already did. I'm a little behind you.
That's alright. I haven't put any of the numbers in yet. So
good. I think that we can wait and just know because the dot is there. Like, hey, we're getting a +1 to this.
Yep. Sweet. The attributes are the big ones, right? And then the skills are the little ones.
Yeah, attributes are the big box, and then the little one with the arrow and the underline next to it is skills.
Okay.
And page 29, bottom right, is where we begin our talents and attributes and skill points. Ending talents, beginning attributes and skill points. So, all attributes start at 2, and we allocate 8 points across all your attributes, with the maximum of 5, except for the tag attribute, which can go up to 6. As a brief rundown for those listening at home, cognition is a thinky kind of stat that you always add a stat to a skill number when you're making a test in ChangedStars. It's always the one governed by it. You can't mix and match, although that was a feature of like an earlier version of the game. Cognition is your thinky skills, alacrity is your speedy skills and dexterous skills, resilience is your melee and enduring pain and fixing things skills, and empathy is like things that are related to like understanding and communicating with others, but also like your inner well of strength to not like, give in or like to commit an atrocity or whatever, like a mental save sort of resolve. So that's what the 4 big stats are. All start at 2, it's the minimum. And then we sprinkle, right? As if though we're Salt Bay, an additional 8 points across these 4. So, what are we feeling, everyone?
I kind of think, like, our character looks like it already leans heavy cognition and alacrity, so we should make sure those do good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to spend 4 of our 8 out the gate, I'm rhyming ain't that great.
Wow, he's a poet, and he had no idea.
He was unawares. If we commit like half of our character points to alacrity and spend 4 plus 2, we can get alacrity right to 6.
Yeah.
Which is the max.
I think we could do that. I feel like this is a very like all or nothing type build.
And did you want to go all or nothing with the cog as well?
No, we can probably dump something into resilience because we do only have 2 health.
Yeah, I mean you might want to.
Yeah, let's put a point in resilience.
Yeah.
All right, so a point to resilience, and if we are going with 2 in cog, 1 in resilience, that leaves us with 1 hanging point. They could either go to maxing cog, upping our empathy, which covers things like insight, which can involve like knowing your creature, your other prey, is like what they're planning, right?
True.
Or you could just give another to resilience and take more hits.
I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
Do you think cats are communicative and good at sensing the feelings of others?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Then I would put the final into empathy to give us a baseline of 3, and then we can jack insight a little via skill points to model that particular aspect of cat.
Sweet.
And with that, our stat point allocation is done.
I actually have a question about that I thought of earlier, then totally forgot to ask. Would it make sense under quirks to say that a cat needs a translator? Because cats do not naturally speak as we understand it.
Good point.
The reason that I thought of this now is because cats, and a lot of animals actually, have a very body language heavy communication style, which is why I think putting a point in empathy makes sense. But like, if we want them to be able to speak, then they would need the translator thing.
Yeah, I definitely think translators required makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and there is like a motion aspect to the news quiet language, and also the translators usually like worn around the neck, so you can just put it on a cat's collar, so they wouldn't need to be able to operate them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done that before in a couple of sci-fi games where just have like a cat translator on the call.
Yeah, then I would just throw translator required is identical across the species that have it, so I would just put,
Just another quirk.
it's all quirked up.
Is there a weapon? Is there a spot for quirks?
We've listed all the other ones under talent.
Yeah.
Quirks are just talents that have a downside,
Okay.
more or less.
So. Okay.
But people felt it was weird to call them talents, so I made them a subtype of talent.
Gotcha.
To,
Yeah,
to
that
give
makes sense.
voice to that sense that, like, well, it's not really necessarily an up, but you have to take it. So,
Talents aren't always incredible. That's why people have like weird talents, you know?
we have 10 skill points.
10?
You spend that. We have 10, and also think about it. Because we took a class, we took an archetype that has 4 tag stats, we're going to have 14 skill points on this spread by the end of it. Because we're going to add 1 extra to every one that has a dot by it.
Yep.
Scrutiny systems operate ballistics. So this raises the question, just like, the max is 3, unless it's a tag stat, in which case it's 4, but you could literally just, like, do the numbers, maxing 3, and then we, at the very end, will go over and add the +1, however you want to do it, though.
Let's fill out our stats, then add in the bonus afterwards. That way we don't lose track.
Yeah.
Well, that is 10 skill points to sprinkle, and it is now time to have a little fun, which is to say, where do you think we're putting our kitty's points?
Well, obviously we need points in operate, right? We're a pilot.
Yeah.
Yep.
The max is 3. I say we go 3.
Yep. Which means once we're done adding our Now, right now, once we're done adding the focus, we'll be rolling at a baseline 10d6 for our basic piloting check.
Nice.
And like a better, easier to handle ship will have like a positive modifier to that. One that's like a big boat not designed to be maneuverable will have a negative modifier. But we're starting out strong either way. All she's got is going to help us get that even higher. Yeah, so we've got a strong entry here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Drives like a maniac, but...
But she'll get you there.
Yeah, so...
I am imagining that... I don't know why. I am imagining there's just like I can't think of what it's called, but there's like this stereotypical like ace pilot kind of thing, and I'm just imagining this cat as a woman now with... Who is it? Who am I thinking of?
Amelia Earhart?
No.
The ace pilot.
Like, if it was some fictional character,
I feel like I know what you're talking about, but I have no idea who you're talking about.
Exactly. Like, she flew like a ship or a spaceship or something.
The lady from Treasure Planet.
Oh,
Maybe.
I feel like she was a cat species. She had a cute little nose and everything.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of the woman from Atlantis.
Oh. Wait, what was her name?
The mercenary. Actually, that might be wrong too, now that I think about it. Man, I cannot think of this character. She flew like a fighter jet kind of thing. And that's just what I'm imagining now, but imagining an orange cat instead.
What's her name? Audrey. Or wait, was it Audrey or Helga?
I may be combining them in my head. I'm not sure.
You might be.
I might be.
Yeah, I don't know what character you're talking about, but I get the vibes. And that's all we need, I think.
Okay. Imagine her with Eagle One's voice coming out of that translator.
Oh, yes, Eagle One.
Oh yeah, you see the Helldivers update today?
I didn't actually. I saw like a small GIF online, and I need to go actually watch the video.
Customizable primary weapons.
I did, yeah, that was one of the things I saw, and that's so good. I really need to re-download it.
Anyway, back on track.
Back feast first into hell. I mean, there is tactical shootouts in ChangedStars. The cat might not be able to participate in quite the same way as the average Helldiver, though. Also, Super Earth is like the kinds of people who the trading shoot up and then rehabilitate.
We are not literally making Eagle One here. Also, we have 7 points to spend.
Yes. Now, you know what? Let me go get a double check look at this. A double-decker taco. We should probably put points in maneuver, because it's got sneaking, dodging. So maybe maybe 2.
2 sounds good.
Yeah.
I want to put a point in communicate.
Okay.
I'm
down for that.
When we do that, we have 4 skill points remaining.
Yep.
Yes.
These go faster than you think. I'm always like, that's a big number, but then I realize.
Yeah. Maybe 2 in systems? I know that'll bump it up to 3 at the end.
Mm-hmm. Because, you figure Pilot Kitty's got to have an understanding of, what's going on.
Yeah, if we use a piloting computer, then we know we have some background computer knowledge.
Yeah. So,
you
say 2?
Yeah.
Which leaves us at 2 total skill points right now.
Okay.
And did we say that we wanted insight for the cat? Because we felt that they were good at,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And a survival module I'm writing, understanding, a predator's intention is, a very much, I'm that's an insight check.
Yeah.
So that feels like maybe something that Kitty would know.
Maybe we put our last 2 points there.
I'm down for that.
5 is, a respectable amount.
Do we want a point in melee as well?
Here's why. Let me know if this is heretical. What if we build this character with future advancement in mind? Because if we do that, I say no, and we just put anything we would put into melee into maneuver, understanding that the first time this character gets to 5 XP and they want to do melee stuff, they would buy War Dancer, automatically transferring them to right now, right? A maneuver check for this character is 8 dice. A melee check is 3 dice.
Oh.
So you see how you're going to get such a better boost that I would almost say leave melee untouched right now. And we assume that if Kitty really wants to get into combat claw territory, this after the first however many sessions, which depending on the pace of XP drip in the game, can be 1 session, right?
Yeah.
Or if they jumpstart to 5 XP, which is a thing, if you want to think of starting at level 3 in a D&D game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, boosting just a little to...
Even add a note, we suggest Cat get War Dancer next to the next talent.
Okay, I'm down for that. So I think, dump the 2 into Insight, leave melee unchanged, and then...
Actually... How theoretically permissible, but off the default course, do you care for your character to get?
What do you have in mind?
You would notice that right now we're not really investing in scrutiny and ballistics. They're focus skills. We're going to have one in them, but we don't really give a shit about them, right?
Right.
The general shape of ChangedStars archetype is thus. There's A, B, C. And what the difference between all of them is you get to double something. In the A form, you get to have 2 tag stats. In the B form that we're on right now, you get to have 4 focus skills. In the C form, you get to start with 2 talents. So, if we don't really care about scrutiny and ballistics, we could bump our pilot from B to C form, rip away the focus skill scrutiny ballistics, get a second talent, and just start the game with War Dancer.
I think
We could even do that to just make them even better at piloting. Depending on what y'all are feeling.
we could do that. I kind of think it makes sense to have 1 point, at least in ballistics. Like, if we want to have the cat, like, be able to make that knock something off a high ledge onto someone roll, or do the, like, scene investigation thing.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then 1 point would still give us what? Like 7 dice?
Yeah, so it would still give you a slight bump over baseline. So I'm not saying this is like a bad build, but I only proposed it in the event that we wanted to really start the player off with like the kitty combat, but I think that we leaned away from combat kitty when we went pilot instead of sneak.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we should lean more into pilot.
I think pilot kitty, like, and shoots lasers from the sandbox, as it were.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I will still leave I'll add an addendum to this note too. So do we want to take this 1 point out of insight? Is that what we were thinking? And toss it into ballistics?
No, because it's going to get 1 point anyway.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that little dot makes it, and then when we're done with it, it's going to get 1 point boost anyway.
Okay.
So we're just going to let it be. I think this current spread makes a lot of sense to me. If we're good with it, then we just go through and we make sure we add +1 to each of those skills that have a dot next to them.
All right.
And then that's done.
So that'd be 1 scrutiny, 3 systems, 4 operate, and 1 ballistics.
Not a bad stat spread, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
No, yeah, this is, definitely, you got survivability in the maneuver, you've got a little bit of ballistics to shoot if you find your cat in a position to do so. And again, as the pilots, you're really tight into piloting. Now, in a lot of games, that kind of leaves people feeling like BMX Bandit and Angel Summoner, if you know what I mean. Where, like, one person has, like, a really particular set of skills compared to everyone else. Feels kind of, like, needlessly niche. But because we've already established they could use the drone control systems that are gesture-based, drones can go pretty much anywhere a player character can go. So, Kitty's going to have a role to play whether you are in the spaceship or, in the corridor.
And, like, that seems like another thing, too. It's like, you could potentially be useful to the party without ever leaving the ship.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's all sorts of things that, and yeah, the 3 in resilience means that we're at 5 total hit points, which means for reference, just to roughly lay it on you.
Do I need to bump this up to 5 then?
No, sorry. Hit points refers to both stamina and health. However, we can put stamina is 3. Because it's our resilience plus our species mod, which is +0.
Mm-hmm.
So our stamina is just straight up, it's 3.
Okay.
It's not a plus anymore, it's just 3.
Gotcha.
And for reference about like how hearty and hale of a cat we have made, right? There are only 2 weapons that can one-shot Kitty off of a basic success. A missile launcher and a bolt gun.
Okay. Yeah, I think a missile launcher would one-shot many people in real life.
Let me redact my statement. Kitty is up at 1 gaming right now if hit by a bolt gun.
Gotcha.
Space harpoon. Shot with a space harpoon and Kitty is down in 1.
Yeah, makes sense.
So can take like a burst of fire from a pulse rifle and isn't down yet. Resilient Kitty.
That's good. People tend to not like it when you let the animal die.
Indeed. That brings a good point that do make me circle back on this. We need to look at the wound table and see if all of them could apply to a cat.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah. So we are at the stage where the only thing left to do is select a gear package. I think that I have a pretty neat answer to the whole consideration.
Okay. What you got for us?
It's right there on your top of page 31, top left. You're looking right at it. Dandy. If you scroll in, you get 3 things. Cash, glamorous garb, and a slate. A slate, it's kind of like an iPad, but maybe a little smaller, which you all established cats can use.
Yep.
Right.
But it's like the settings, like personal computer device that everyone's ubiquitously using, like we use cell phones now, right?
Yep.
Right.
So that's good. Glamorous garb is the only thing is it gives a communicate bonus, and it's a really fancy tailored outfit made of rarefied materials, and we just make a little cute kitty outfit. Boom, done. People do that shit all the time. Look at Instagram.
Yep.
Cash, we've established cats can have cash. So I immediately thought about, when I made my shot that we were only going to have to violate one rule, I immediately thought, when I asked the cash question, you confirm, we'll be able to make them a dandy. We'll give them the equipment package dandy. Important note, some modules do call for, like, you don't have your starting equipment, but, like, and, like, some of them are like, pick a criminal package or whatever. But by default, like, the default assumption of ChangedStars is you pick one of these civilian packages and that's what you could start the game with. So I say, pick dandy, boom, done.
Okay.
And with that, strictly speaking, we've hit the end of CareGen. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, rules to raise question on before we check out the wound table?
What's this cat's name and pronouns?
Yeah, true.
It's a good question.
Now, I know I brought up earlier that I was imagining this is like a female ace pilot archetype that was an orange cat.
Mm-hmm.
Do we like that, or...
What if we called him the Nacho Shabby Tabby?
I love that.
Shabby for short.
So her name is Shabby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that spelled with 1 B or 2?
2.
I say 2 B's.
No, 2 B's from Nier Automata.
Oh my god.
Stop.
Take out our coloring tool again. And you see there's an E and an S?
Yep.
That's for equipped and stored. Put a dot. And then in the bottom, you see the right-hand side where it says armor properties.
Uh-huh.
You see there's a property that says glam. Put the dot. And then we'll just write our glamorous garb in the armor box with text. And Kitty's... and a character's maximum encumbrance is their resilience plus any modifiers. Kitty is not encumbered by anything because Kitty is wearing the glamorous garb.
Okay.
Oh, if we want to rip the glamorous garb entirely over the sidebar, then you can get rid of the colored in dot. Sorry, I probably should have not told you to do that.
Oh, okay.
And bottom right of the list inventory, you see all stored total max.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for total, write 0, and max, write 3.
Okay.
So Kitty's total and maximum encumbrance is 3. We don't start with any weapons or anything, so we don't worry about that. Glamorous Garb doesn't have any armor, life support, or maneuver modifier. It's just glam. So at this juncture, I think Shabby's a she/her. What do we think?
Yeah.
I think that we are. Oh, here's something I didn't address. I don't. Do you guys think cats have a climb speed?
Oh, I would say so. Climb? Yeah.
Potentially.
They're good at climbing.
Okay, then in that case, I would say give them a climb of 4 meters.
4 meters? Okay. Yeah, I was going to suggest... Yeah,
I don't think they have a swim.
As well. They do not have a swim.
I would negative swim if anything, but yeah. That's kind of the whole shebang. We finished the character.
Nice. Sweet. Now, what was this about the wound table?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Okay, so I had a game design quandary, and join me on page 72, and we can go over this, right? So, since they have their own wound table, everybody else, every other like normal like species, has to use the same wound table. So I had to be really careful with how I wrote certain things, because I couldn't be like, one of your eyes is shot out, because like, what if a species doesn't have an eye? Or like, like eye stalks were a little different from Newsquai. Or like, one of your 2 legs is broken, when it's like, lots of these species have more than 2 legs, right?
Gotcha.
Synth wounds, don't worry about. Wound table and grievous wound table. Can a cat suffer, like, logically, every wound I have described in this table?
Let's see. Winded, yeah, no problem. Lacerations, that's just cuts, right? Yeah, they can do that.
Oh yeah, we have a brief description to effects.
Yeah. Your dermis is marred, conferring a -1 to communicate test. So is that like a throat laceration type deal, then?
It's a laceration of some part of the body that's visible.
Okay, gotcha.
I kind of kept it generic because, like, for example, in Newsquai, I don't really have faces, so I had to write these for all the organic species.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Let's see. Sapped, brains are scrambled. Yeah, a cat could probably get a concussion.
Yep.
Twisted.
Like a twisted ankle. Cats can
yeah,
absolutely get that. Abrasions, yes.
If they can get lacerations, they can get abrasions. Sprained ankles, yes, probably possible. Rips, again, yeah. Hobbled, yeah. If you can get sapped, you can get concussed.
Yep.
Maimed hands, well, we got paws.
Yeah, I think we would interpret that as maimed paw, would we?
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. I used to have a 3-legged, well, no, I had a 3-legged dog, not a 3-legged cat.
And cats, shredded, I'm guessing in this case, does not mean in terms of muscles.
No, it means your body's gotten ripped. Your body has been shredded. It's the one just before this wound is going to kill you if you don't get healed.
Oh.
It's like you're real fucked up. Like the anime character in the Impact credit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. When they get hit with a tuberculosis punch.
Yeah, that's right.
Tuberculosis punch.
Yeah.
The scarlet fever consumes them.
Yeah, so you know how in anime when a character gets punched and they cough up blood?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
That's just an acute onset temporary case of tuberculosis. Yeah, one of these days that's going to be someone's actual power, and they're the only character who makes people cough up blood when
Shonen will do it one day.
someone will do it.
Now, everyone quickly grab your senator. It's the Guat. That's right, the Grievous Wound Table. Sorry, what do you think I meant? But if you get a 12 on the wound table, you get one of these 6. Do we think that I think cats can get all of these. What do you think?
Internal bleeding, nerve damage, shattered frame. That's just like broken bones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get concussed, you can get head trauma, you can bleed out, you can come to a gruesome end. Yeah, all of these things are things a cat can do.
Yeah.
Then I would argue that we've cleared. I mean, I think the character is made, and if they had to like do something to the wound table, then that would be a rule violation, but they don't. And I mean, like, yeah, I really can't think of anything at the moment. Sounds like the not so shabby the tabby is good to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I think Shabby is ready for action. Just put her in a ship and send her on her way.
Hell yeah. Sorry if I got a little technical there. I was like sweating a little when some of these things came up. I was like, well, technically, you see.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're good. And that's just how it be when we have a dev on.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, wait, hold on, how would this work? And it's just like, we're just messing around.
Yep.
I gotta Omega mind it.
All right.
So, depending on how you want to count it, we created a new cat species, and/or we created and modified new talents for the cat species.
Now, does it count as a rule broken if we have a dev here saying that it's okay?
I think
it has to, right? Because like, otherwise I would just arrive with like a pre-made cat.
Yeah.
So like, part of the challenge has to be like, I have to exist under the constraints that other people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also part of why we've said before that, like, we're not doing just, like, if someone comes out with a module that's like, here is specifically how to run a cat, because that just takes everything out of the sales.
Yeah, that puts us out of a job.
This is much like a cat always scratches up the scratching post. We are ever like the Sisyphean task of rolling the cat carriage up the hill. If there was no inclined plane, there would be no point. You could not imagine Cat Sisyphus happy.
Well, anyway, so that is, again, either 1 or 2 broken rules, depending on whether you count those as separate rule breaks.
This is kind of like the end of like a movie where I like shoot a laser at something, or like a bullet reflects off like a metal dish, and like I hit, but it shoots me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hoist by my own petard. Called every shot but one.
You know what? That's a better hit rate than most.
This one is up to interpretation. You could probably walk away saying that you called every single shot correctly. Probably.
True. But I'll always think of that quirked up orange tabby.
Anyway, yes. We have hit the end of the episode. So, is there anything you would like to promote while you're here?
Yes. If you are a future person, then there may or may not be a sale going on, but do check out, in either instance, both DieselShot, all one word, diesel like the fuel, shot like take a shot, on DriveThruRPG and itch.io, where our itch URL is all one word, dieselshot.itch.io. And that's also our Twitch URL, so find us on all platforms like Blue Sky and Twitter and such as DieselShot. You'll find Pat and I there. Pat posts her beautiful artwork. She did all the art for ChangedStars. Casey did all of the layout. They are amazing. The three of us came together to really make this book happen. And we also have stock art if you're a role-playing game designer or enthusiast of that sort who wants to support the real human artists. And we also have a free game you can put out on our itch. And we have like pixel art tile sets for VTT and the like. These have personal commercial licenses that come with them. They're bundled fairly affordably. And sometimes we do a seasonal sale. The most recent one, which is ending, time of recording is about to end, but literally tomorrow. It's 40% off our whole catalog. I know. Unfortunate. But if I knew when the summer sale was going to be, I would put that in. But I don't. But keep your eyes out, everyone. Keep your ears out. And yeah, just keep in mind that if you are into hard sci-fi and a more open future with like a medium crunch game and a lot of lore to get into, and like a world to immerse you and your friends in with believable alien species and a complicated history, but like a fairly straightforward take it and play scenario, I think ChangedStars really does hold up. And we have more games on the horizon, and we have a module we just put out called Hard Passage for ChangedStars, which can go in any ChangedStars campaign or be a campaign starter or one shot itself. We have another one coming up called Marooned about being stuck in a survival scenario. crash land on a planet, and we have a free one out you can go check out right now called The Load, which is about coming upon a space vault in an asteroid that is not what it seems and what lies beyond it, and what happened to those who came here before. And there's a lot of adventure and danger and knowledge to be had in these scenarios, so I do hope you give them a consideration,
Absolutely.
And right now we're streaming every Monday and Wednesday, 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/DieselShot. And if you go to any of our links, you will find the way to our YouTubeosphere. And there's going to be everything you would want, from how-to videos and playing the games, VODs, and soon video essays. So, really, one-stop shop.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, only one thing left to do. Avalon, do you have a cat pun?
I sure do. Now, I did steal this one. However, I cannot for the life of me remember where I got it from, so sorry. I think I was watching like a TV show or something. Where do cats swim?
Where?
The kiddie pool?
The kiddie pool. You got it in one. Another called shot from Lee.
I fucking like tipped the brim of my hat. My work here is done, but you didn't do anything.
Doesn't matter. Still got it done.